Welcome to I Don't Need an Acting Class with Milton Justice.
I was walking to teach from my office. My office was on Broadway and something below Houston Street. And so the school was on Lafayette. And so I was walking to teach, and I stopped, and it was really, really early on with cell phones. Now people are used to it. And the guy was on his cell phone, and he was talking to his girlfriend, obviously, and he said, well, he said, that's why you got me, baby. That's what I'm here for. You don't have to worry about that, baby. That's why you got me. And I just thought, oh my God. And it's like I wanted a whole monologue based on that, or at the very least a short film. And I thought, imagine the scene that led up to that piece of dialogue. And Stanislavski talked about seeing plays as film strips, which I guess is what he had back then. Now I tend to see the past of a thing or a character's life outside of the play, and all of that is short films. And it's just, and it's sort of like when I heard that guy, and I mean, it was just fabulous. It was like, that's why you got me, baby. And it also reminded me, it's like any of those things are useful. Stella said that when her father came home from the theater, he would wake her up. You can imagine the life she led. He would wake her up. She was 4 or 5 years old. And he would wake her up and he'd say, tell me about school. And then he'd say, tell me about your teacher. Show me what she did. And I mean, it's like this warped existence where this 5-year-old is doing an imitation of the teacher at school that day. But it's like all of this is like this useful sort of thing where, because we want to expand ourselves into playing all these characters. And it really is. I was reading the obituary today in the New York Times about this man who evidently was a sociologist who blew open sociology, although everybody in the obituary said you could never, his writings were so complex you couldn't understand them. But basically, similar to Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, this guy did the same thing in sociology and physics, which is you cannot figure out why people are the way they are easily. In other words, he really broke it down into a complex collection of events where, on a simplistic level, let's say you happen to, like my whole career, you happen to be someplace where somebody said, can anybody here type? And so you can type. And so then you get a job because you can type. And for me, the job happened to be with Bob Hope. And I ended up working for the Bob Hope Show for 5 years. But you know what I mean? It's like, but it's because I could type, Douglas. I mean, my whole career is based on the fact I could type. They said, get your shot. You're going to Vietnam. I went, oh, good. I don't have to go home for Christmas. Anyway, but what the sociologist was doing was talking about how many of these events affect a person and make a person become who they are. And, and it reminds me how complex characters are. I mean, we have a tendency, I think, if we're not careful, to to make quick, easy decisions about characters. And I think what happens is the fact that we do not complex them up. It is why we don't get. And if we knew about it, if we could figure it out, we could probably do it. But what we're not doing is doing that kind of work that says, okay, let me look for another key. Let me look for another key. Let me look for another key. And begin to let those simmer around. And I think then the talent becomes being able to figure out what the events are. I like the word event. I think I added the word event to my vocabulary a few years ago. I'm not sure whose book I was reading, probably Sharon Carnegie's, but she was talking about how Stanislavski had people build events, and I thought that's a really good word. I'm not building a mushy past. I'm building a specific event in the past based on the present. And I can still, you can still hear me asking you, why did you choose that event? And you can still look at it and say, well, the play talks about this, and so it made me think this event exists. But that's it. I think that's a really good point. I would linger on the idea of an event. And having an event helps us be more specific. And as you know, I'm a big believer in the more specific, the bigger the payoff. I think that really helps us. Let me just, I'm going to, Shane sent this to me. And so here's what's interesting. She looks like hell. But at any rate, okay, so here's what to understand about what she did in this exercise. What she did in this exercise was, you will watch her kind of wander around until she found something that she could latch on to. And that is something you need to allow yourself to do. Anyway, all right. So watch, if you will, and then we'll talk about it. Watch, if you will, Shane.
I've been sick in bed for a couple days, and I've wanted to go outside. I tried to go for a walk, but I cannot do that. I'm a little too weak. So I've been stuck in this room thinking of the outdoors and things that I love. And I was thinking of, there's a certain time of day when that afternoon soft glowing light comes down, kind of diagonally. It's not that top heavy, harsh light that beats down. It's this gentle cascading light that catches the leaves, and it is so beautiful. It creates these many, many hues of green, so many colors, and they're literally like glowing. The leaves are glowing, the light, it hits it, and it's kind of like twinkling too. Like, it's like twinkling, like little toe dancing, and it's extraordinary, really. It truly is. The colors and the way they just kind of, flutter around like that. It's amazing. And if there is wind, you can hear it. It's like, it's, kind of like, it's like a distant waterfall. When you hear a waterfall far away and you can hear that, but better than that. It sounds like that, and it's just gorgeous. It's like a symphony. You've got these beautiful lights just dancing about, and then you've got the sound of the wind, and you've got that little bit of shade if you step underneath the tree. It is so lovely. I love trees.
Now, lovely. Thank you, Shane. I was surprised that you built to I Love Trees. I was shocked when you said it. I feel like, just as a note, you were building something else, like the sky. And you set it up in a way that you said I needed to go outside and I couldn't go outside, so I built, and it looked like you were going to build outside. So my only note, and it's a lovely exercise. And I like how you just bravely wandered around till you found something. I was enjoying watching the journey. I was enjoying watching you find it.
I Don't Need an Acting Class is hosted and created by Milton Justice. Senior producer is me, Walker Vreeland. Director of online media is Evan Solers. And music by Shagoi. This is a free podcast, and we want to keep it that way. All we ask is if the podcast has spoken to you, if it's helped you or inspired you, all we ask is that you write a review for us on Apple Podcasts. I Don't Need an Acting Class is brought to you by weaudition.com, a full-service online platform for actors. Sign up today and get 25% off when you use the code ACTINGClass. Again, the website is called weaudition.com. Thanks for coming back and joining us for the 7th season, and we'll see you back here next week.